What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome everyone to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my coach James Haskell and of course DK in the back running the shows. In this episode, we're going to be talking about, I guess it's probably not much of a surprise. The hottest topic here in Baltimore is quarterback Lamar Jackson and his continued or now renewed negotiations, at least hopefully for most fans, with the Baltimore Ravens and kind of the recent social media posts and everybody speculating on what that might mean and seems like everyone's talking about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. So we're going to get into it ourselves, Jimbo. So how are you doing tonight, Jimbo, on this Tuesday evening?
Doing good, man. I feel like I fully recuperated from the loss. I'm over it. Anytime I see anything on Twitter with the play of the outreach hands of Huntley, I just simply turn it off and keep moving because I can't relive it, and I feel bad for Tyler Huntley for having to do so. But I'm over it. I'm excited to see what the Ravens can do here. And just like Glenn said, to add some additional context to this story, the timeline is simply this, right? The Ravens didn't come to a deal with Lamar Jackson, but before the season started, he said once, it was whatever, right before week one. Yeah. He didn't want to continue. Negotiations stopped. He wanted to focus on football. There have been a lot of numbers out there. And to DK's point, there's been some misconstruing and misrepresentation of the number that has been offered to Lamar Jackson, I believe. And we're not surprised, right, Glenn, because he doesn't have an agent. Yeah. And so there's a lot of varying reports out there because no one is really getting information. I'd be shocked if people are getting a lot of it. So they're kind of grasping at straws. So one thing I would say when it comes to all this is that don't put too much stock as much as you normally would in the national folks because they don't have the in. They just don't, right? Like even the local media members, very few of them, I'm sure, have any in. But the deal didn't get done. Lamar got hurt, right? And then as soon as Lamar got hurt, Glenn, everyone started talking about, is he holding out? Is he holding out? Is he holding out? So let's just dispel this. Lamar Jackson was not holding out. He was limping. We heard from a lot of his teammates that Lamar Jackson was still limping just the same week that, we were to play the Bengals in the playoffs. So Lamar Jackson is continuing to get healthy. I don't believe he was holding the team hostage or anything like that. I think he simply was hurt. Now we're here, Glenn. It's officially the offseason. Mm-hmm. Now, and I want to talk about what we think is going to happen. But as far as providing an update on the status of this thing, one of the things that you talked about in our prep for this is all the other pieces that depend on this. I kind of want you to give some people some context there because I think that was a good point because there are so many moving pieces that. So I kind of want you to provide some color around that.
Yeah, it's a tough time overall for the offense here in Baltimore because there's so many parts that are going to possibly be changing, and all of them kind of rely on each other for success. And so I think we're going to have to see. It's going to be one big ball that's going to have to drop first, and then I think we'll see the next ones kind of fall in place. And so what I mean by that is you have the teammate element, right? We saw teammates come out just before the game, and some were critical of Lamar Jackson. Sammy Watkins in particular wished that he could suit up and go out there and try and make a run with his teammates. And I wonder how big of a group Sammy was talking for. So there might be a fraction of this locker room or a faction in this locker room that might be saying, you know what, maybe he's not all in and I'm playing at 80%. He should be too. So I think there's that piece. And do I want to come back and do I want to give it another run with this guy as my quarterback? There's a small, I don't know how big, there could be a very small group. They feel that way. Then you have the offensive coordinator piece to this. I think all people are assuming that Greg Roman is not going to be the offensive coordinator. I don't know how he is. I mean, they don't have to announce a firing because his contract expired. So we don't have to wait for this breaking news. Ravens fire Greg Roman. He's no longer under contract. So we won't have to see that. But we are waiting to see who they do hire as the offensive coordinator. I think we all assume it won't be Greg Roman. Well, if I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm signing up to be the OC here in Baltimore. I want to know, is Lamar Jackson going to be my quarterback before I sign on that line? So it kind of stops that process because until we know at least if he's going to be the franchise quarterback this year, then how can I know, how can I present a how can I have a presentation prepared for John Harbaugh, Eric DeCosta, and owner Steve Bisciotti of this is my plan for your offense when I don't know who my quarterback is?
Right.
You can't do it. And then how do you draft? How do you start to put your free agency attack together if you're Eric DeCosta? If you don't know who your quarterback, it's so much of what they're going to do depends on who their quarterback is. And right now, it looks like the negotiations, while they've assumingly reopened since the season's now over, how much of a negotiation is it, Jimbo, if one side is saying, this is what I want, and that's it?
Right. Yeah, ultimately, it's not much of a negotiation, right? Because in a negotiation, it's always going to feel both sides like they give up a little more than they wanted, right? And that's just the nature of a negotiation, period, how it goes. And so this is a really interesting one. Just like you were talking about, Glenn, to point to that, everyone's seen, I forgot to mention this, kind of the build up to all this is the IG stories from Lamar, with the scripture verse and then the photos of him in Ravens gear. I mean, it literally has Ravens fans with, having heart palpitations that are irregular at this point, right? Like people are freaking out, trying to figure out what's going on. And I think the Ravens are doing the same. You see in a little bit of this, just like we talked about, it's an emotional thing. And I think you're seeing some of that spill out into his regular life, right? Like it's just kind of happening that way. So what I kind of want to focus on is what can happen. In my opinion, there's only a few things that can happen, Glenn. And I'll tell you like what I think will, but like you said, if Lamar Jackson doesn't want to come off the Deshaun Watson number, I'm here to say it, that Lamar Jackson will not play a single snap under center for the Baltimore Ravens next year. He won't.
And I think the reason why the owners don't want to go down that road, it's pretty clear. If the owners sign one more player to a fully guaranteed deal, it becomes the precedent. And then every quarterback after that, just quarterback to start, will want fully guaranteed. Then the wide receivers, then the pass rushers, then the corners. And before you know it, every contract is fully guaranteed. Owners don't want to go down that road. Mm-hmm. So right now they can say that Deshaun Watson deal was a one-off of a crazy owner going rogue because too long the media bashed his franchise into believing that it convinced him that no quarterback should ever want to go to the factory of sadness that is Cleveland. So they had to do something that has never been done before and give a fully guaranteed deal just to get a guy that they believe made them competitive. But right now they can say, well, that's just one crazy thing. But if one more person gets it, Jimbo, then it just opens the floodgates to every quarterback, then every left tackle, then every corner, then pass rusher, wide out. What's next, right?
Right, exactly. It's just like your teacher used to say to you when you would want some favoritism, right? Well, if I do it for you, then you got to do it for everyone. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right. And that changes the whole structure. I mean, not just the owners. I don't think the NFL down doesn't want this thing to happen.
Rosters bigger. They got to
Yeah, you think Roger Goodell gets booed now? Like, what's going to happen when the owners turn on him? Because the owners like him. That's why he's around.
Oh, yeah.
Because he lines their pockets. But when all this changes and they have to, tighten their belts, right, to economically speaking, that can be a real problem. And certainly doing that would do so. Whether or not we think is right or not is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the economics of the thing here, right?
Yeah.
And so my first outcome, and just like Glenn alluded to, if he wants a Deshaun Watson deal, I think Lamar Jackson will get it from someone, but it will not be here. What will happen is they will franchise him in an effort to work out a deal that Lamar Jackson wants. I don't think there'll be a tag. I thought maybe it'd be a tag and play situation, or maybe a tag to have like a longer window to work out a deal like we've seen in the past before the season starts.
What if they? Let me ask you this, Jimbo. What if they look at the franchise tag as a way to not only see and ensure that Lamar Jackson can stay healthy for a full season, which he hasn't in the last 2 years, and also to see how Lamar Jackson looks in the new system that is probably on the horizon, because we know how good he was in Greg Roman's system. At his height, he could have the number one offense and be the MVP of the league at his best. We don't necessarily know what he is in this new offense that might be coming. So what if they use that as a year to just say, all right, you want that money, bet on yourselves. We're going to give you a monster deal in the franchise tag. It's huge money. Bet on yourself. You play well, you stay healthy, we'll give you that deal you want.
Yeah, so the only reason I don't see that happening is I don't think Lamar goes into a second year where he has no future guarantees. Being that he's come off two season-ending injuries is what both of them ended up being. And as a part of that, it's only going to hurt the Ravens because if Lamar gets that, if they say something like that, he's going to say, all right, that's fine. I'll show up as little as I need to. Like, I don't see him being as gung-ho. And I'm not saying Lamar's a me guy or anything like that, but as a part of negotiating, right, he's going to say, okay, that's fine. You can give me that, and this is what I'll give you in return, which is the minimum.
But I'm paying you as a top 5 quarterback as a franchise tag. Why are you giving me the minimum? Why aren't you giving me the effort of a top 5 quarterback?
Because if you'd pay me like a top 5 quarterback, I'd give you.
I am for 1 year.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's not going to cut it. Right. So
for 1 year, I am.
Yeah.
About.
I think it would simply be you'd get the minimum from him. It's as an effort to twist your arm a little bit more, and say.
But doesn't twisting your arm, playing well, twist your arm into giving you that fully guaranteed?
Yeah, but he feels like he's already done that. He's done that for 4 years. Okay. He's already been, you know what I mean? That's at least I'm trying to get in the head of Lamar.
No, I like it. I think we're both kind of trying to play a bit of a role there. Yeah.
Yeah, but let me tell you what I think is going to happen. That's one outcome. I don't think it's the most likely. And I think Ravens fans will be happy to hear this. I don't think that the Ravens are the type of organization that let a player like this walk. Look, you remember, what was it, 2008, when there were rumors that Ray Lewis was going to play for the Cowboys?
Cowboys, yes.
Did you ever believe he was going to play in any other uniform but a Ravens uniform?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ed Reed, sure, he left at the twilight of his career. J.O., Terrell Suggs. I mean, the list goes on and on. Obviously, like guys like Anquan and DK brought up Haloti Ngata and stuff like that. That didn't work out. But the majority of the cases of perennial Hall of Fame players, the Ravens don't just let leave, right? The Ravens made the right decision with Marshall Yanda in extending him and not giving the money to, who's it, Ben Grubbs?
Yep.
So the Ravens.
Osemele.
Right, Kelechi Osemele, exactly. Isn't it crazy Yanda played that long that it was 2 guys that came up and needed deals and he just took both of their money?
Lapped them both. And I think outlasted both of them career. Like Kelechi, he might have left the same time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Back issues.
All that being said, I believe my gut is telling me Lamar Jackson gets this deal done. Whatever the long-term implications are from a relationship standpoint, I think that they get stitched up over time. But this is how negotiations go. It's a little ugly because there's not a layer of agents. But I think ultimately the Ravens get Lamar Jackson where he needs to be, where he feels comfortable, and the deal gets done. That's my gut, and that's what I think we'll end up doing.
Wow. Well, I certainly hope you're right. My next question is this press conference that they announced this Tuesday, do we hear Thursday? I'm sorry. Do we hear anything about Lamar Jackson's contract? Do we hear
everything will be about Lamar Jackson's contract? That's why Eric DeCosta is coming.
So then, if that's the case, do we hear some sort of an
update?
I mean, could the negotiations have gone that quickly?
Maybe, but I think you're really drinking the Kool-Aid.
Well, here's why I'm wondering. All of a sudden, we see the quote, and then the next day we see him post a picture in full uniform.
Yeah.
And I got to admit, I got caught up in the Twitter's thinking, Twitter's saying, is this mean what I think it means? Has a deal been struck that quickly?
Well, I've been burned too many times by Lamar Jackson. Hopefully the deal gets done. That I'm not ready to say that.
Because I see people tweeting like, I got a source inside the building and
da
da da da da.
I did see one person saying that there was a deal that's been agreed upon already.
Yeah.
And the numbers.
Let me ask you this: if you hear it, is there a number that you would be disappointed, or is there? As long as you hear that he's signed, you don't give a damn what the numbers are.
I don't care. Even though there's a lot of statistics that show these top 5 and 10 paid quarterbacks and their success in the postseason, yeah. I don't care because Lamar Jackson is I think I've said it before. He's like the Allen Iverson of the NBA, right? Like or the NFL. Like he can carry so much weight as an individual player in comparison to other players. He's the highest return on investment dollar for dollar. In my opinion, in the NFL right now, because he's so impactful.
Gotta stay healthy.
Gotta stay healthy.
Not that to say, it was his fault that those injuries
and
happened.
He was in the pocket.
But man, it'd be nice if we could have seen what this team was really.
Got to get rid of the football. It's not about his running because he's not getting hurt running.
No, he's
getting
hurt.
Just getting rid of the football in the pocket.
Yep. He's
You
getting
know?
hurt when he's getting hit by D linemen and linebackers, not when
Yeah.
he's down the field getting tackled by DBs.
Now, really quickly, Glenn, something that DK brought up that I want to put up on the screen because it's also important. You know, we feel like it's our job to inform you guys so you can, you know, understand all that's going on here, and we're learning and trying to put together thoughtful information for you guys. And so one of the things, of course, that we've seen kind of brought up is the transition tag.
Mm-hmm.
And so NFL teams can here we go. So NFL teams can retain the rights to one of its impending free agents in 23 with the use of a transition non-exclusive or an exclusive franchise tag during a 15-day period from February 21st to March 7th. And that is with the idea of hoping to get a deal done.
Okay.
So that's
after
another possibility.
Yeah. So after February 21st is when they can tag him. Is what this is saying, right?
Yeah, but right, but the transition tag is one of those other tags that
Which
isn't
is
used as
crazy
often.
money, right? Like, isn't it even more money?
No, it's lower.
It's lower.
But it's lower, but it's a good faith thing, right? It's to
Okay.
say, hey, we're right there. We need a little more time,
Okay.
but we're gonna get there. So it's
So would
if
that
you
be a
see the
positive?
transition, I think if you see the transition tag, you got to know the deal's on the horizon.
Okay.
My opinion. If you see the exclusive franchise tag, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's out the door.
That's the expensive one, right?
Yeah, that's the $45 million cap hit. So, yeah, but
No
Glenn,
way no way that happens, right?
No, because
45.
that's our total money available to us right now in the offseason, if I'm not mistaken. So without making any moves, now moves will be made, but at the end of the day,
But
it's what it is.
I don't think that projected number has even included the Roquan deal because details haven't come out. So I don't even know if
or
that
rookies
number's
being
extremely
signed.
accurate. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
have some
So
for that. Do you have a gut feeling, Glenn?
yeah, my gut tells me he's going to be here long term. He's just so important to the city.
Yeah.
Like he is, you see perfect fits around the league where you're just like, that guy was just, it seemed like he was just made and born to play for that team and be the leader of that city. It just feels like Lamar Jackson's instant connection with this city. I mean, look, everybody loved Joe Flacco, but there's just no doubt the impact has been far greater as far as bringing eyes, bringing new fans to this team. It's been Lamar Jackson. It's not even close. The way he lights up a group of kids' faces when he walks. I mean, it's just unique. It's different. To me, he's the perfect quarterback to be in Baltimore. He wins every time he's on the field. His teammates love him. I don't see why he wouldn't be here other than the fact that he just has the most stone-like, he will not be budged off of that $231 million guaranteed is the only way I don't see him being the quarterback here. But man, I worry because without an age, it's possible that could be what he does. And he just says, no, I won't take a cent less. So I'm worried, but I'll choose to be optimistic about it, Jimbo.
Yeah, Eric will do everything he can in his power to convince him for as long as he can. But obviously there will be a period in time, and I think it's around the time of the combine, because I don't
think if they wait too long, then too many other things have to be put on hold to wait. Like it's gonna when it does happen, I think it will be swift when these decisions get made.
Yeah, because remember that the Ravens only have I think 5 picks right now, and Eric likes his picks, Glenn. And if he finds the right deal, like you said, it's gonna happen quick, right?
Because then they got to get their OC in. They got to start. Getting a plan together, and an OC has to be involved with some of the decision making on the offensive side of the ball. So you can't start making a bunch of decisions without the guy who's going to lead your offense. It's just too much. So whatever's going to happen, I think will happen relatively quickly.
100%. And just as a last note, as far as the transition tag goes, this kind of reminds me of an offer sheet in the NBA. And this is like a restricted free agency type scenario where you can go out and get an offer from someone else. And the team that has those rights to you, the incumbent, your current team, has the ability to match. So the transition tag gives the right of first refusal to match any offer the player might receive from another club. So this could be an interesting way for the Ravens to go. And I would say maybe that it would make more sense if Lamar did have an agent. Because then you could say, oh, go figure out what you're worth.
Yeah.
And come back and tell us. But the interesting thing here is that, Lamar doesn't know. I mean, I don't know. How much does he know how to do that? You know what I mean?
He's got to have advisors.
But those advisors are going to get on the call for him. You know what I mean? They're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going to get on the phone for him. It's just different to me than an agent, right? feel like
I will say the Ravens. They just signed Roquan, who had no agent, so it's not completely familiar territory. And that look to go extremely. I mean, look, he just got here. He played a couple weeks. They saw what they need to see. Boom, he signed. I mean, it could happen that quick. It could happen that kind of low key. Nobody knew it was happening until it was announced that it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, it could happen very quickly. Yeah, maybe not by Thursday, 2:30, but I'm hopeful.
Well, let us know what your guys' thoughts are. We're excited about the press conference coming up. We're excited and nervous about the future of Lamar Jackson. Whatever we see is going to happen. We're hoping for the best. Leave all your comments below on what you think the outcome could be, and we will talk to you guys soon.
See you.
Yesterday does not matter. You're looking forward to today.
I'm looking forward to being a Raven.
What are they getting?
Everything out of me. They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that.